New year, new Steam wishlist. Here are the most hyped titles heading to PC in 2023. Hello, we were just writing out our list of New Year's resolutions. 1. Finally beat that knight at the start of Elden Ring. 2. More RGB. Like, everywhere. On everything. Do they make RGB toasters? 3. Ah yes, here we go. Compile list of 2023's best upcoming games. These are the titles overflowing with hype, promising us new frontiers and excuses to keep upgrading our rigs, and importantly, they're all penciled in to release sometime in the next 12 months. Before we get into it, subscribe to Azus ROG for more from us and turn on notifications so you don't miss our vids. Now, let's look at the year ahead, one impossibly exciting release at a time. Apparently, the fidelity of the physics in Turn 10 Studios' upcoming Forza Motorsport 2023 has 48 times more fidelity than the last game. We're not really sure what that means, but honestly, we'll take their word that it's a good thing. Anyway, we're much too distracted by the way the light's bouncing off that gold heat shielding on the back of this open wheeler. Unlike its free-spirited festival-goer cousin Forza Horizon, the Motorsport series has always been about rigorous, Gran Turismo-bothering simulation. And after GT7's release on PlayStation 5 in 2022, it looks like Turn 10's really responding to the gauntlet Polyphony threw down. Damage modelling is absolutely forensic, down to the direction of the scratches on your paint job. And even the trackside detail looks a leap forward, all high-res photogrammetry draped in ray tracing and complex lighting. It looks like a real fun drive, is what we're saying. It's slated for a spring release in 2023, so expect it between roughly March and May. The biggest name in fighting games makes its return in 2023, and it's looking more street than ever. Capcom's angle for updating Street Fighter is about refining the nuts and bolts, punching and kicking 7 bells out of people in increasingly gymnastic and improbable ways, and evolving all the stuff around it into the modern era. Which means there's now real-time commentary over your fights, like you're a pro player at a tournament and there's a shoutcaster watching your every move.
At this range, many attacks can connect if you stick something out.
Plus you get to pull funny faces before a match in this all-new screen. There's more too, like the long-form World Tour mode and the Battle Hub, which looks like NBA 2K's neighborhood if all the ballers were in a particularly bad mood and started throwing Hadoukens instead of alley-oops. Presentation looks immaculate, and the hardcore community's taken well to the alpha tests so far. The question is, can the rest of us mere humans catch up to that super talented core community? Well, we'll find out in the first half of 2023. It's Baldur's Gate 3 next, and this is a weird one because it's been out in early access for over 2 years already. The hype train arrived, all the passengers boarded, and we've just been politely enjoying the ride all this time. But 2023 is when Larian's final release comes out, which means we can finally enjoy the story beyond that first act. And look, maybe we're being fussy here, but a middle and an end are kind of a must-have in an epic RPG narrative for us. Baldur's Gate 3 might technically be the sequel to the all-time greatest isometric RPG in history, but unlike the 2001 game by Black Isle, this is neither isometric nor real-time with pause-based gameplay. It's a pretty big departure, but Larian's Divinity series shows you how great the studio is at taking D&D rules and turning them into quirky, malleable adventures that reward experimentation and lend themselves brilliantly to co-op. So expect that, but with Baldur's Gate's name attached to it. A bit like Arcane's 2017 Prey in that way. Wasn't a name anyway. Let's stay with high fantasy zoomed camera perspective and dungeons just a while longer because Diablo IV is also out in 2023, and this one's a full PC mainline sequel with all the grim, blood-drenched bells and whistles an action RPG fan would hope for. Set in an open world where your preposterously powerful character has plenty of space to roam around and eviscerate things heroically, Diablo IV features NPC story events that unfold as you stumble on them, and enemy strongholds that can be cleared to convert into a friendly settlement. And not that we're shallow, but the spell effects are looking on point, aren't they? Blizzard's shown off spellcasters, barbarians, shapeshifters, and rogues, among others so far, and every hit looks like fireworks light at the most gruesome 4th of July you've ever been to. Oh, and just so you know, Blizzard's offering a free copy of this game. Yeah, I know, right? And all you need to do is get a Diablo tattoo to be eligible. We promised ourselves that Bus Simulator Ultimate Inc. was going to be the last one.
Hell is coming.
Just in case this is your first time surfing the information superhighway since the mid-noughties, Minecraft is a game about blocks where you build stuff, survive against mobs, and launch a career as a YouTuber. It's roughly as popular as oxygen, which makes Minecraft Legends a pretty big deal. Out in the first half of 2023, it's an action RPG spin-off set in the same world, and it's a more story-led take on surviving the overworld and pushing back the forces of the Nether. There are still some mining and indeed crafting elements here, but the focus is on having an adventure, which is going to mean slapping more piglins than ever before, and doing it amidst epic quests that you'll want to tell your mates about after. Weirdly, the usual mobs are now non-hostile and even befriendable by players, so that story might be about how you and an army of spiders fought back the hordes of decaying pork flesh while mounted on a regal tiger. Definitely a change from the did I tell you about that really big hole I dug story. Okay, we were gonna save this one for last, but then we got too excited, and look, we've just got to talk about Starfield already. Skyrim in space. Mass Effect Todd Howard edition. Destiny with a story. However you want to look at it, Bethesda Game Studios' first new IP in 25 years is a prospect so exciting that we've been gently and constantly vibrating to Starfield's cosmic frequency ever since we first saw its gameplay reveal in 2022. There's 1,000 planets to explore here, a super detailed character creation system, and a skill ranking system that works a bit like Oblivion's. Speaking of Elder Scrolls, lockpicking is confirmed here. Somehow, even though we're flying between planets in the distant future in mega advanced spaceships, and yes, those spaceships can be customized by the player since you ask, somehow lockpicking is still a thing. Starfield was due to arrive in 2022, but Bethesda decided it needed more polish. After the controversial release of Fallout 76, the studio and new owner Microsoft will be piloting this one to as smooth a landing as possible when it touches down in 2023. Like you, we've often wondered what Left 4 Dead would have been like if it was a Rainbow Six Siege game made by the Dishonored developers and set in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer universe. But those days of idle wondering are nearly over, because Redfall's nearly here, and it's the best tactical co-op vampire shooter immersive sim set in a seaside Massachusetts town we've ever seen, and we mean that. Arcade Studios has a well-deserved reputation for building incredibly dense, system-rich worlds, and the prospect of taking all that pedigree translated to a radically different tone and premise, vampire-infested tourist trap in this case, is very exciting indeed. This looks a lot faster and more frenetic than Prey or Dishonored, and that's probably in part down to the co-op nature. You're playing one of 4 superpowered youngsters with an ear for ironic one-liners, and when you get a squad together with that much stopping power, well, they're gonna take things at a sprint. But we think Arcane's got stuff up its sleeve with Redfall. It's bound to be more than shooting waves of the sanguine obsessed. We just won't know exactly what's under the surface until later in 2023 when it arrives. Just in case there was any confusion, here is your handy field guide for spotting a Final Fantasy game. Emo fringes. Check. Elaborate medieval chest plates. Yep, spotted. Ethereal looking young ladies with crystals somewhere in their vicinity. Yep, visual contact established. Pompous people getting angry in grand mansions. Seen. And there you go. Armed with this checklist, you can now identify a Final Fantasy before a single flap of a chocobo's wings. Number 16 is in the works, and this one's a return to the series' eccentric spin on medieval fantasy, a bit like what we saw in Final Fantasy IX. It's looking like gameplay will take its cues from 15 and the recent FF7 remake, albeit with even more fantastic hair and a totally fresh set of characters and setting to get to know. Don't get the straightening irons out just yet though. This one's a PS5 exclusive for at least 6 months, so it won't be hitting PC until later in the year or beyond.
I'll kill you. If it's the last thing I do.
Obviously, there's a cubic ton of titles we haven't mentioned in this list, but every video's got to end sometime, hasn't it? Tell us which ones we missed in the comments, hit the like button if we mentioned something on your wishlist, and subscribe to Azus ROG Global to get more videos like this, as well as product drops and more. Catch you in another one.